Thank you, Diane, for launching us into our recording. And I'm really happy to welcome you all to this call today. This is our first official EL community call with our brand new 2022 Evolutionary Leaders, aside from the welcome calls that we've had with all of you that were just so inspiring. We are so delighted to bring you into this circle and to imagine together what we can co-create into the future. So thank you, everyone, and thank you, everyone, for making time to be on this call. This is a very special call in another way, too, because we are going to be sharing with one another about the synergy circles of the evolutionary leaders. We have basically, we have several kinds of synergy circles. So our greatest focus today is going to be on the thematic synergy circles, which are bubbling up like crazy. And we're going to have a little bit of an overview of those from our newly titled Volunteer Synergy Circles Coordinator, Dr. Kurt Johnson. So we'll hear from Kurt in just a minute. And then hopefully we'll have time also to touch on local synergy circles and also the Source of Synergy Foundation Evolutionary Leaders Council and the teams that come out of that council that help to drive the direction that we take together as a circle. We do everything in circle. This is one of the core missions of the Source of Synergy Foundation, is to bring people together to see what we can co-create in synergy that is far greater than what we can do by ourselves. And we started these particular synergy circles a few years ago, and they're really starting to come into their own and create some beautiful things together in terms of outreach, in terms of project planning, and also as a way to get to know one another and empower one another in our work. So I'm very excited to be hearing from all the synergy circles so that we can all find out just a taste, because everyone's only going to have 2 or 3 minutes to say what they're doing. But it should give us a lovely palette of what all the synergy circles are up to as they answer the question, how is your synergy circle contributing to our conscious evolution, and what's one step you envision going forward? So before we hear from the individual synergy circles, let's welcome our very own amazing, Mr. Amazing Networker, and just the hardest working person I know, Dr. Kurt Johnson.
Well, Deborah, thank you. And thanks to everybody for attending this community call, because we are so serious about the potential of the evolutionary leaders in this time. And what we're excited about is the potential of the evolutionary leaders synergy circles to make an even more impactful contribution to global transformative change. And we actually think that the framework for this further contribution is emerging now across the landscape of our synergy circles, which are expanded now to include 12 diverse thematic circles, which are summarized at our Synergy Circles webpage at the EO website and also in our discussion today. And our hope is that these will just blossom out hugely in 2022, not only in their reality, but in their effectiveness. Now, the Synergy Circles aim at creative and skillful synergy and action from our already amazingly well-positioned evolutionary leaders, which of course are all of you. And all in all, over 300 ELs and non-ELs have been participating in these synergy circles. And we now in 2022 and beyond are sure that we can make them even more impactful. Because if we combine these activities with the potential synergies of the diverse media that are already available across our evolutionary leaders community. And this includes radio, video, television, magazines, books, events, and so on. We are really confident that we can at least make a difference in getting the transformative message and vision out there to the world at this critical time. Amplifying, of course, what all of you are already doing and the power of doing it together, and all of this in the context of us moving along with the whole world from this me to we. And we further hope that our messaging, somehow my script has disappeared. Hold on here, sorry. Somehow I only have share screen.
Deborah's sharing her screen right now.
All right, sorry, I need to go back. If you can pardon me for a moment. Somebody disturbed the apple cart. Oh, here it is, okay. So what we further hope then is our activities can grow from just messaging to additional action-related activities that can even be more impactful at the global level. So this is where we need to put our heads, hearts, and hands together in 2022 and beyond. Now, what I want to stress is that the current structure and content of the Synergy Circles is not in any way set in stone. We're open to all kinds of expansions and newly defined initiatives and circles, big, small, and in between, not only from circles, but from sub-circles, which are now called teams. And these can actually grow directly from how each of you is already being led by source and can be co-branded in ways that serve all of us as individual evolutionary leaders and as a collective EL circle. Now, we also want to make an effort to study and understand the metavisions for global change and all of their components that are emerging from many of you through your own connections to source, what's downloading to you. We really feel a responsibility now to process all of these and comprehend not only their collective implications and directions, but how we can actually serve them all. So that's what we're committed here to. Sorry for the little foible when the screen disappeared, but we really welcome your participation and thank you for your involvement. And before we go ahead now to our individual presenters, I'm just going to ask Deborah to present some graphics on the screen about what the Synergy Circles did in 2021.
Okay, so I'm sorry that the slideshow takes you away from your script, Kurt, but maybe
Oh, no, I don't need it.
walk us
No, I'm
through
good.
this.
No, I'm good. Yeah, so these are the websites and newsletter headers for some of the Synergy Circles. In the upper left is the huge website of the SDG Thought Leaders Circle. On the right is the developing website of the Conscious Business Circle. And then at the bottom is the actually newsletter header from the Conscious Business Synergy Circle, which also has a large number of members, about 90 to 100. So, okay, next slide. Oh, great. So these are some of the events, nearly 20 that we did in 2021, which were panels that we did across the whole landscape that's so wonderful that the ELs, all of the summits that we host, Peace Week, Conscious Evolution, Global Oneness Day, and the Synergy Circles participated in nearly all of those. So these were programs from the Bridging Circle, the Conscious Business Circle, the SDG Circle, the Science and Spirituality Circle, and the Sacred Site Circle in 2021. So next slide. Okay, so these are some of the publications that we did. And of course, these were done through my media, but the point is, how do we connect all of our media? So it's not just individuals that are getting this message out, but we're really doing it skillfully as a collective. So on the left is the Universal Principles and Action Steps publication that was done by the Education Circle. In the middle is the Conscious Business publication that was done by the Conscious Business Circle. And on the right, the Sacred Sites and Spirituality and Nature publication that was done by the Sacred Sites and Indigenous Wisdom Circle. So next slide. So these are some of the publications that we did that emphasized the work of individual ELs. So the Changemaker issue on the right, which had Deepak Chopra and a dozen or more other ELs and all of the impact that they're having on the world. And in the middle is the one that EL Denise Scotto, who's actually on the call with us, the fourth of these that we've done with the United Nations Yoga Day Committee on everything going on in yoga in the world. And then of course on the left is the one that we put out celebrating and promulgating further the message of the EL book, Our Moment of Choice. So next slide. And these are particular ones that we did on our EL book, Our Moment of Choice, which we are happy to announce is coming out in paperback from Beyond Words, Simon & Schuster in May. So you'll see many faces also from the ELs that were part of those programs. And I think that's the last slide. And what I just want to say is we are truly excited about this potential of how we can take all of us who are so well positioned already and working so hard and really create that into a global message that has real impact. So back now to Deborah, and sorry for that little delay in the middle.
No, thank you, Kurt. We're all just so incredibly grateful for the hard work that you have put into bringing forth so many of these synergy circles. And yeah, big shout out to Dr. Kurt Johnson. So I'm going to hopefully put in the chat now this question that we're asking of all of you, because we have so many synergy circles. We would love it if you can give your response in 2 minutes. If you need 3, okay. Otherwise, the bell. So we've grouped you into clusters so that there's a little bit of an idea of the directions that some of these synergy circles are going in. And we thought we would start with the big picture ones. So the 3 that we're going to hear from first are integral and holistic cosmologies will be first with Doug King. And then we will hear about co-creating the holo movement, technologies and social modalities with Laura George. And then a synergy circle that's still in the planning stage, but with Kurt, that doesn't last very long. So I'm sure we'll have it soon on design principles and biomimicry. And we'll hear from Jeff Janung on that one. So let us begin by welcoming one of our beloved new evolutionary leaders, Doug King. And please mute yourselves if you're not speaking. Thank you.
Thank you, Deborah. And hello, everybody. Certainly a pleasure to be here and to share from this newest synergy circle on integral and holistic cosmologies. And I think it's no surprise that this circle is now forming at the same time as the publication of the unitive new narrative, because this unitive narrative reflects an attempt by all the circles to define and express the universal principles behind their work. It's a reflection of synergies, not just within each specific group, but an understanding and awareness of the synergies between all the circles. This new unitive narrative then speaks into the space of interconnectivity. And it is in this space that we find the universal principles that integrate the universe or holistic cosmology in which we all live and have our being. So our group has just begun discussions. We're talking about how we can contribute to the space of interconnectivity. We will use models, integral models, paradigms, principles that promote the work of all circles. We know from the integral work of those like Ken Wilber that a holistic cosmology reflects the role and function of beauty, truth, and goodness, or as otherwise stated, first, second, and third person perspective. So we are all helping our global human family, all circles, to see the relationship of art to science, eco-civilization to technology, or spiritual practices and experiences to conscious business or personal transformation to world economy, et cetera, et cetera. All spheres are necessary for a holistic cosmology. We're aware that white papers, for example, are about to be released from various circles. And so we see an opportunity there to respond from an integral or holistic perspective in order to draw attention to these papers and their universal aspects as they connect with all synergy circles. We also intend to investigate the use of all media types, as mentioned by Kurt, in order to communicate these inter-circle commonalities and to promote and bring more awareness to our collective unified efforts. And we want to continue contributing to the evolution of the unitive narrative because itself, it is going to evolve as humanity deals with greater and greater complexity, because our world is now seeing that complexity without unity is chaos. So once again, our new group expresses gratitude to be a part of all this. Thank you.
Well done, Doug. Thank you. And thank you to your circle. You're already producing some fascinating documents, and I look forward to the future. So next is co-creating the Holo movement, and we're going to hear from another new EL, Laura George.
Hi, everybody. It's such a joy to be here. Yes, we have a brand new Synergy Circle, and this sort of stemmed from an Evolutionary Leaders Call about a month ago, where everyone saw the need to create a platform to actually, to connect everybody, to connect the circles that we're all working on. So our vision for this circle is to co-create content and take action steps to build a holistic hub, otherwise called a synergy engine. We intend to invite both ELs and non-EL specialists into this circle. And right now it's still in sort of an early process, but very soon we'll be opening up this circle and asking for others to join us. What's interesting about this circle is it's kind of a continuation of the Office for the Future project that Barbara Marx Hubbard had going about 5 years ago. In fact, 4 members of this circle were part of that project. So Juan Carlos and I were on the contact team. Sorry, somebody needs to mute.
I do have that.
Alan, please mute yourself. Thank you.
Yeah, so Juan Carlos and I were on the content team, and then Andre and Brett Warshawski, they were on the Synergy Engine team. So there's 4 of these prior players involved. And while that project didn't come to fruition, everyone did keep working. So we're very encouraged that the technology exists and that we're going to be able to anchor this project. I'm going to just show a real quick staged presentation of what we're intending to do. Okay. So in the first stage, well, here's just this famous quote from Barbara Marx Hubbard that we need a peace room as sophisticated as a war room. And what she was describing was a platform that could map, track, connect, and communicate synergistic solutions. And that means what's already working in every sector. So for the evolutionary leaders, we feel we can start by mapping the synergy circles themselves. From there, we can go to mapping the evolutionary leaders, their projects. We can add other trusted organizations. And of course, the point is to invite the public to become users of this platform. Now, the way we track is by creating this master database. And we can build this now. If people are willing, we can combine email lists. New users would be part of the database. Plus, we can create the platform so that it captures all of this data as it grows. The other thing that would happen in stage 1 is that users would be able to track themselves. That's the whole point of the database. So they can manipulate it themselves. They can start to connect and cohere. And then, you know, as people find one another, these synergistic solutions will keep growing. They can also communicate with each other. We have the technology to do this right now. They can align for educational or community-based reasons. And what we wish to do, and this is why the first synergy circle we heard about is so important, is imbue this hub with holistic principles from the get-go, which is what's missing from most online platforms. And at this level, we would ask some of the evolutionary leaders to help manage these sectors, and we would co-brand at this level as well for all of the evolutionary leaders. Then stage 2, we would add more functionality,
Laura,
still using.
Laura, I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to ask you to wind up because
Okay,
we have
that's
so many
fine.
more circles to hear from.
That's fine. Okay, stage 2 is just more, and then the ultimate is the stage 3, where we would launch on a totally new platform, which is state of the art, and that's our goal. Let me stop.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I know there's
Sure.
so much excitement about this Synergy Circle, and we are thrilled that you are continuing in such a powerful way the work of our beloved Barbara Marks Hubbard, one of our very original members of the Evolutionary Leaders Circle, whom we miss, and we feel her guidance daily. So thank you so much. And now, Jeff Janung, you and others are hatching something. So would you tell us a little bit about design principles and biomimicry and maybe what that means?
Sure. Thank you. I like hatching something, or something is being hatched, and we're kind of like the mother hen. You know, as I look at the synergy circles that are emerging and the work that kind of we're all doing, it's real clear that lots of people and organizations are getting a very similar download. And it's focused around this new story that's emerging that's aligned with unity consciousness. And this new story is really aligned with humanity becoming a superorganism, a conscious, compassionate superorganism. So with that, I mean, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. We live in nature. We're part of nature, so we can learn from nature. We can learn from science, especially evolutionary science, the new science of evolution that's based on cultural evolution. And all these things in terms of what's emerging need to be guided by design principles. And there's lots of them. And when it comes to design principles, there's no one size fits all. And so there's lots of them. They need to work together, and particularly ones that are able to integrate with other ones. Because when that happens, you have new forms of expression that are able to emerge that are different than the operation of the design principles by themselves. One of those design principles that are very valuable are Elinor Ostrom's 8 core design principles, for which she won the Nobel Prize in economics. And these principles are important because they can help us as a species avoid the tragedy of the commons, which essentially is if you have common pool resources, water, land, and you have ungoverned competition for those resources, our planet, because of greed and selfishness, it tanks the resource. But through these design principles, groups, communities, and ultimately our world can avoid this tragedy. And so we need to avoid the tragedy first and foremost, but that's just the beginning. From there, we need to kind of co-create this conscious and compassionate world that works for all. And so that's what this group is going to be focused on, and we'll love your input along the way. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Jeff. We are all for that compassionate world. So we look forward to welcoming your new Synergy Circle. So we're going to move on to our next cluster of Synergy Circles. We're going to begin with biocultural sacred sites and sacred science. Synergy Circle. And we will hear, I believe, from Ken Kitatani on that one. There was a possibility that Mindahi was also going to join us from an airport, so we don't know whether that's happened yet or not. And then we'll hear from the Science and Spirituality Synergy Circle, and I believe Kurt is going to give us the update on that. There's Mindahi, he's here too, how wonderful. And then in this cluster, we will finally hear from Ecological Civilization. And that Synergy Circle is addressing culture, environment, and economics. And we will hear from Michael Wayne. So let's begin with Ken Kitatani and biocultural sacred sites and sacred science.
Greetings to all. Great to see so many familiar faces and a pleasure to meet many new folks. What I'd like to do is just give a brief description and then hand it over to Mindahi so he can also speak. This idea or concept of a synergy circle was brought to us several years ago by Kurt Johnson. And we were very excited about forming this because the work that Mindahi and I have been doing, we've been doing since very closely since 2015. And it comes from both of our spiritual indigenous traditions from Mesoamericas and ancient Japan, which follows a very similar, if not exactly the same cosmology, but also a fulfillment of an ancient prophecy, which has a very specific timeline for all humankind, which is coming from a creator or Mother Earth, essentially encouraging all humankind to elevate our consciousness and do our best as much as possible by 2026. And that will then pretty much determine what kind of things will happen afterwards as we complete this process of cleansing and purification and breakdown before we go through a breakthrough to usher in a peaceful, just, and sustainable world that is grounded on spirituality. And the essence of the work that we're doing with sacred sites is one part out of 4 parts. And we call it the 4 earth mandates. But the one particular part on sacred sites is essentially addressing, rebalancing and healing the major sacred sites of this Mother Earth and planet Earth. Just like there are meridians or organs in the body that have major purpose and significance and others that are minor, we are focusing on addressing, healing, and rebalancing the major sacred sites, which need this healing and rebalancing. This, the damage that's been brought about due to human activity for to these areas have caused tremendous problems for the environment and also for society. And the last thing I want to say about that is the Synergy Circle is opening up to essentially working together with and having conversations with many other people who have similar visions, similar cosmologies, and similar types of downloads about sacred sites, and to explore how we can work together. So with that, I'd like to hand it over to Brother Mindahi.
Greetings, brothers and sisters. It's a great pleasure to be here with you. It's so wonderful to see many people that I haven't seen for many years. So blessings to you all. And biocultural sacred sites work is a work that is a mandate from Mother Earth. And it's a responsibility that we have. We received in the second mountain of the Sierra Nevada de Santa Marta. So we are following just Mother Earth guidance and protocols. And it has been a beautiful, beautiful time going to Mount Fuji, Mount Etna, and Mount Blanc in the Four Corners. And we are beginning to go the second phase to Mount Shasta, and then Mount Kilimanjaro, and in the south of Peru, and later on in Mexico. But we are going to gather during these days, at the end of this month. We are going to go with some friends to visit Giza, also to Mount Shasta, and then Hawaii. And we are going to learn how they work around the ley lines, reactivating these powerful ley lines around Mother Earth. and possibly we could come together and we can report to you how we can work in this unification process. So thank you very much for this opportunity. Blessings to you all.
Blessings to you, dear Mindahi and Ken. Thank you so much. And I wanted to ask Brother Phil, is this the Synergy Circle that you wanted to speak to, or is there another one that's brewing that I don't know about? Are you still here?
Phil actually is one of the sub-circles in that circle.
Great.
And also Dwayne Perry, that whole group. Yeah, each of them is a sub-circle in that circle.
Okay,
Yes.
Chief, you get 30 seconds.
30 seconds. How long is it? How long do we have? Is it 4 minutes, 3 minutes?
30 seconds? Yeah.
Okay. I think that we're really focused on indigenous synergy circles around Mother Earth. And the reality that is that only 9.8% of those relatives on Mother Earth are from European background, including Russia, Europe, here, 9.8% only, including my own French and English background. So how do we make these circles truly representative of the human family? Every time we look, we should only be 9.8% of those presenting should be, but we are an elite group here in terms of the way we think. So how do we bring what we know and all the language we use, most human beings would understand, and bring it down to the people on the earth that really can use our guidance? How do we bring the two together? That's what Indigenous Synergy Circles are about. How do we do this? How can we take these wonderful things we can talk to each other about, the incredible language we have, the incredible vision we have? How do we bring it down to the people? How do we connect it down to those people who are suffering right now on the reservations? How do we bring it to those who are looking forward to this guidance at a time when humanity is going through a tremendous, tremendous change and pain, and it's going to increase? That's what Indigenous Synergy Circles are about.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Phil. All right, so Science and Spirituality Synergy Circle. Kurt, did you want to say a few words about that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I can keep it short to catch up on some time. So the Science and Spirituality Synergy Circle was formed at the Sunrise Ranch, EL Advance, in 2019. And there have been 12 core members that have been working on 5 areas of emphasis. And those areas of emphasis have been the Galileo Report, evolutionary and pro-social theory, climate change, eco-spirituality and sustainability, the holographic universe, and the visions of the Institute of Noetic Sciences, the Academy for Future Science, and the Chopra Foundation, all of which, of course, all those groups have evolutionary leaders members. And we sponsored a program at the UN Church Center in 2020, where David Sloan Wilson and I reporting back on our visit to the Dalai Lama. And we also co-sponsored, one of the co-sponsors of the Rome Assisi Conference on Spirituality and Sustainability, which of course has been put together by E.L. Ken Kitatani and others. Our major emphasis actually now is books, and we are creating a book that will be available in April for publication with Dr. Paul Mills, who is the Director of Research for the Chopra Foundation. And that's a book on the straddle of science and spirituality as experienced by individual scientists and leaders, drawing in the first book, particularly from Deepak Chopra's stable of people in consciousness studies, medicine, and in that arena. And then we're going to move to a second book, which will involve the rest and the whole of the Science and Spirituality Synergy Circle, again coordinated with Dr. Mills of the Chopra Foundation. So we are open to all new ideas and directions and all variations on that interlacing of science and spirituality.
Fantastic. Thank you, Kurt. And I hope you are all getting an idea of the breadth and scope of the work of these amazing synergy circles. And speaking of one with great breadth and scope, ecological civilization, which we are all hoping to see. Michael Wayne.
Thank you, Deborah. And thank you, Kirk, for inviting me to join this Synergy Circle not too long ago, and bestowing on me the honor to speak on behalf of my esteemed colleagues for this circle today. So I think it's safe to say we all have a vision of a society we would desire to live in, a more caring, generous, just, compassionate, sustainable, regenerative, and wise one. And in my mind, this is what we can call an ecological civilization, or you can give it whatever name you prefer. Now, in the United States, the United States Constitution has a preamble that sets a stage for the vision of this country when it was formed. And the preamble states, "We the people, in order to live in a more perfect union." And that was the ideal born of the Enlightenment, that this country would be a more perfect union, a more ecological civilization, if you will. And most countries around the world have used the United States Constitution as its inspiration. But the truth lies that we've gotten far off track from that, if we ever got there to begin with. And we've gotten far off track spiritually, morally, ethically, politically, and in my mind, my thinking, economically, most importantly, economically. And all of these are intertwined: the spiritual basis of life, the moral, the ethical, political, and economic basis. But at the root of it lies the economic system most of the world lives in, and capitalism, or at least the form that has mutated into a capitalism on steroids. It's called different things: capitalism on steroids, hyper-capitalism, late-stage capitalism, a predatory capitalism. And this version is one in which extraction is the principle, and extraction from the pockets of most people into the pockets of the wealth class, and extraction of the fossil fuels and minerals in the earth to make energy. And everything, all these things that capitalism extracts, looks at as a commodity. And then many people, I shouldn't say most people, many people look to monetize that commodity. And in the process, we've lost the connection to the sacredness of life, and really have lost a piece of our souls in selling to this economic system. Capitalism is really just based on scarcity for the masses and abundance for the privileged. And it really needs to be turned around so that abundance is the guiding principle for everyone. And to do that would mean ending an economic system based on greed, lust, avarice, and psychopathy, one that rewards bad behavior, bad ethics, and twisted ideologies, and can shower perpetrators with untold billions or trillions of dollars. One of the members of this group who's not on the call, David Sloan Wilson, wrote the recent book, Atlas Hugged, a socially critical and part satire of Ayn Rand, and she and her ideology represents really the psychopathy of capitalism. But there is a path forward, to a way forward to a more positive future of this ecological system, one that is post-scarcity and post-capitalism. The famed economist John Maynard Keynes envisioned what a post-scarcity civilization could look like. And we hope with this Synergy Circle, I think all of us hope to carry on with further visions of this new ecological civilization, post-scarcity, could change culture, and by doing so, change the story and the narrative that society lives on, and lead us to a new path forward. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Michael. Very exciting work. So these visions we have for a better world need roadmaps to implementation. So we're going to move on to our next cluster of synergy circles. We're going to hear first about the UN Sustainable Development Goals, the SDG Thought Leaders Circle. We'll hear from Jude Currivan. After that, we will hear from the brand new Unity and Peace Synergy Circle from John Raymer, and then the Education Synergy Circle from Nina Meyerhoff. So I give you Dr. Jude Curvin.
Thank you, Deborah. Thank you, everyone. It's lovely to hear how we're co-creating together this superorganism of synergies and network of networks. Our SDG Thought Leaders Circle began early last year when a group of us came together, realizing that our basic collective dis-ease was our fragmented perspective of the nature of reality itself. And that the SDGs were attempts to actually respond to the dysfunctional behaviors, which are the symptoms of that collective dis-ease. And that therefore, coming from that level of separatist materialist worldview was always going to be incredibly problematic in terms of actually overcoming their silo perspectives with the best world in the world. So when we came together, of probably about 100 of us, Kurt, I think now, it became very clear there was a consensus that we had to somehow transcend this separatist perspective and come from a much more holistic framework. And so what we did is we did a number of meetings and co-created teams within the overall circle, some of which were very much looking forward to what was working. How could people overcome those perspectives and actually arrange positive implementation? The others is mapping, as Laura spoke about, a wider mapping of what the resources are and how we can more effectively link up and lift up. And another was, how do we educate? How do we engage those folks who are actually on the ground, as it were? So Rick Clugston and other colleagues who've had decades of practice in this, how do we help to support them in doing what they're doing? But probably the most consensual action that's so far come out, and Doug mentioned it, Kurt's been speaking to quite a few of you about it, is the drafting of a unitive new narrative, which Joseph Campbell, the great narrator of human experience, basically said was the most fundamental conversation of our time. How do we come together to craft a unitive narrative that actually helps us to heal our relationship with ourselves, each other, our Mother Earth, Gaia, and our entire universe and the nature of reality itself? So with that sort of small task, a group of us over the holiday season attempted to draft something and text something, and we've now come up with that draft, and hopefully that will be posted to the SDG Thought Leaders Circle website in the coming days. But also, as what we found was, we were able to do it in such a way that the core of the draft was generic. It spoke to all of us, and from what we've been hearing and sharing on this call, I think there is a mighty and empowering consensus of unity and diversity. So the core of the unitive new narrative can support all of us and all the synergy circles in that sense, as Doug mentioned, whether it be the integral and holistic cosmologies, whether it's the eco-civilization, the hollow movement, whatever it may be. But then there's a section that's specific to the way we've drafted it for the SDG Thought Leaders Circle that speaks to how such a unitive narrative can support, empower, inspire such approaches and such values-driven action practically within the SDGs and Agenda 2030. So it's very much an emergent process. It's very much an emergent draft. But that's our next step, how we can share this more fully with everyone and beyond our evolutionary leaders and our synergy circles, and also to keep going down this route of coming together to synergize what is working, practically what is working, and to map out the resources that we have and how do we scale up and synergize those most effectively. So in a way, the unity new narrative is an underpinning to all that we do. And it can be as specific or as generic as we choose, and therefore be able to be utilized in all our activities going forward. So I'll stop there. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, dear Jude. And we will share that statement with the evolutionary leaders and look at how we can move forward, sharing it more widely. So the United Nations certainly was founded around peace. And so let us hear from the Unity and Peace Synergy Circle with John Raymer.
Yes, thanks everyone. Thank you, Jude, for that. There's clearly a thread emerging here. And first off, Kurt, I mean, you're really demonstrating what's possible for all of us. Thank you for opening this door and building it so with such humility, Kurt. It's always we when you talk about it. But I know in my heart, and everyone knows it's Kurt sitting there doing it. And so Ben would be here, obviously, because actually this circle was formed, which is a new circle with Ben, myself, Kurt, and Deborah, because so many of you have been a part of everything we've been doing together to build unity and peace. I also want to say thank you to everybody for all the love and support. And isn't it a joy to see my wife, Summer Joy, here? Some of you know and have been really sending love and care for us. And the game that we're up to is, like you were saying, Jeff, you know, we brought the principles of pro-social. We have a commons right here of genius and the application of everything we know about how we really synergize and share together. This is what we're up to learning. And that's what this circle is about. We've been building the scaffolding for how do we mobilize and deploy these resources that we have, these assets here. And we don't know how to do it. I know we don't know how to do it. We're figuring it out as we go. And that's what these convergences have become. Our world is now virtual first, like it or not. This is a home for us. And we'll meet face to face as we do, but this is kind of a new reality and hopefully a new possibility for us to really get our act together in ways we have never done before. And it's been my privilege through Sign. I mean, we collectively can reach over 10 million people now in support of you, Brother Phil, and you, Anna Marie, and you. I mean, the list goes on with Linnea here and Dot. And I mean, we are showing that we're doing something together. But the idea for us for this circle goes in time with these convergences we've been doing online. So World Unity Week was a huge breakthrough for all of us. And it was in 2018, we were in Ethiopia together with Unity Earth that we birthed the idea of this alliance for Sign. So we're now seeing the fruits of that. And in that last World Unity Week just opened up the door to what we can do together if we harvest what we're learning as well and apply that. And that's what these tales of synergy have become about. So we're writing another story right here together. And I'm honored to be a part of that with each of you. I just want to share in the spirit, since this is a new circle for us, there's a word I just learned last night, a Japanese term, ganbate, ganbate. And it means do your best, don't give up, keep moving forward. Ganbate, don't give up, do your best, keep moving forward. So that's our dream for Ben and I. We're going to figure out how we do synergy and how we don't create synergy silos here. That's the risk in all this, right? As you start to listen, oh my God, how does this connect? That's why it was so great to hear you, Jude, make that point. What's going to really hold us all together? So that's our vision. That's as we build this capacity collectively to mobilize what we have and deploy what we have in new and creative ways. Honored to be in service this way. Tales of synergy from the Magic Canoe. They're here. It's so good to see it happening. Thank you for all the love and support. Game on.
Thank you, John. And maybe you could put a link in the chat if people want more information on the Sign network. That's the Synergy Impact Network.
Exchange.
Exchange.
Right.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
Now, I don't know if we can accomplish any of this if we don't educate the next generation. So Nina Meyerhoff on the Education Synergy Circle.
Sorry. Hello, everybody. It's really nice to see each one of you as I look at the faces, and great gratitude to Kurt and Deborah and Diane And when I think about Rick Ulfik, who really started this circle, who is now in a health situation, and so I'm stepping in a bit, but he did a lot of work. And what he did, which was so interesting, is he collected historical statements of universal principles and action steps, and it was made into a magazine, and it was declarations from many organizations such as the Red Cross, etc. The Earth Summit, there you go. So that's the magazine. And when I reviewed the material here, first of all, I like to say education, so that we're all clear, is not about downloading information. Educare comes from the Latin and it means to draw out. Yes, so to educate means to bring forth so that people can understand and that the wisdom within comes out externally. So possibly we need to redefine education now. So from my perspective, having had many years in education, from being a school director, et cetera, the young people are clamoring to change and reinvent education. They are reimagining and reinventing right now. And they no longer want to be part of that old industrial era. They want something new to emerge. And so if we can help them by giving space to that, to hear what they say, but not only to hear what they say, to bring new systems into life and have unitive understanding is the essence of it. So what I want to add, because in this education synergy circle, because it doesn't mean just about school education, there is subgroups, yes, and you can help me with this, Kurt, if you don't mind, like for media and planetary exploration. I'm not even sure of all the different subsuits, but I'm happy to work on education reflected in schools and reflected for young people what their futures are. And I just was with 400 young people and they are ready to go, but they need our support. And the systems that exist now do not give it to them. So it's our duty to work with them. Thank you and have a great day. Yay.
Thank you so much, Nina.
Yay.
And thank you all for your active listening, because I know this is a huge amount of information to take in. Some of you know each other very well, and some of you are just meeting the members of our Evolutionary Leaders Circle. So I really appreciate you all being with us today to hear about these amazing initiatives. And also know that at the web page at evolutionaryleaders.net/synergy circles, there's a lot of the information on these publications that are being mentioned and the links to the synergy circles that have websites. So you can find it all there. Okay, our next cluster, we will hear about the Conscious Business Synergy Circle, which, as Kurt mentioned in the beginning, is one of our oldest and largest circles. One of our brilliant new emerging circles, Contact and Conscious Evolution, and the Bridging Synergy Circle, which has some new aspects bubbling up. So we're going to start with the Conscious Business Synergy Circle, and I'm so delighted to see Marcel Gasser with us today, because I know he's feeling under the weather and he wanted to be here to share with you anyway. So Marcel.
Yeah, thanks, Deborah, for having us here. I'm very honored to be one of you guys, and my passion is to combine business and spirituality. And Peter Mattis and myself have been very active to basically gather conversation around what does consciousness mean in a business context. And so we collected, like in a document, some of what we want to do is creating an awareness platform where people can share nuggets of wisdom, what consciousness means in their perspective in a business context. And what we have been struggling with is basically to add more of you guys. So that's kind of my request. If you are interested to help what Peter and actually we have been 5 creating it. So if you are interested to get involved in how we can create those awareness platforming consciousness in the business context, it would be amazing to have more support from other evolutionary leaders. That's kind of my request for today. Thanks a lot. Have a nice evening.
Thank you, Marcel, and feel better soon. So the Contact and Conscious Evolution Synergy Circle has been having some wonderful programs, and they also have a new inner focus group that is burgeoning forth. So is Alan still on the call? I know he has.
Yes, I'm here.
There you are. Okay.
And I'll ask Desiree to join me maybe if she wants to add. So consciousness and contact emerges. I think it emerged out of a book I wrote called Making Contact, which is an overview of where we are in relationship to what's been happening on the planet, which is last 100 or so years of visits from other worldly beings. And that includes physical, but also internally and conscious in the inner consciousness level. So basically, we are at the threshold of a huge change in our worldview and the perception of reality. So I feel we need to talk about that as an evolutionary leader forum, because this is equivalent to going from a hunter-gatherer society to agricultural to industrial. This is the kind of shift in change of perceptions that we need to incorporate if we're going to realize we're part of a greater reality. And that includes non-physical beings. It includes beings that are interfacing with our government. I mean, I think it's important that we talk about this because the government is wanting to lead the narrative. And I feel, and Desiree and a bunch of other people, that the personal experience is what is key to identifying what's really going on. So I in this book, I wrote a bunch of chapters, including the ones with the Hertogs, and they have been in this field for the last 30, 40 years. JJ went to the first consciousness and contact real meeting with John Mack and a bunch of other people. So Desiree, come on, jump in and see your perspective.
Right. So this circle started with the help of Diane Williams and Jean and John, who are also on. They're going to talk about that inner circle. And I wanted to mention that is an open circle. And every couple months we get key people on to discuss. We had Elizabeth Centauri before. We're looking forward to Grant Cameron. But all of it is really just bringing together the shift of consciousness. And I think that's what's so important, because how do we really say to humanity that we're evolving into a greater cosmic reality? And it can be inner guidance, inner awareness. For many, I've always been shocked at the evolutionary leaders, how many get that inner awareness, that inner awakening, and that's why they're doing what they're doing. And also it can be external as well, because the government's starting to release more and more information. So really, this is what we're talking about. That we need to have a new awareness, consciousness that we can put out to the planet. And we've been doing this also through video. So I'm going to talk about that later, of how some very, very good videos of some professional quality can get out to help humanity. So it doesn't have to be the small circle that we get together in. It can be also a larger circle. But this is open, so anybody can join us for those meetings, and just let Diane know, or let any of us know. Thank you.
So just one more thing. There seems to be increased contact around the world. I'm going to do a forum with people from Asia and South America and Africa and the US about how big this really is. So the more we can get it into a kind of evolutionary understanding, I think that prepares the world for the next level of our own conscious evolution. It is about expanding consciousness. So it's the most exciting thing I can think of to speak about, because it's about real change in who we are as human beings.
Thank you, Alan. Very exciting indeed.
And
And
so is
I'd like
life.
to ask Jean if she'd like, or John, if they'd like to say a few words about the new Inner Focus team that's emerged from this particular circle.
Thank you, Deborah. Our internet connection is not great, so if we see all of your beautiful faces freeze, Diane, you take over. Okay. Yeah, because I think this may be some of our friends trying to come in who are not walking around in a human body right now, who are connecting. There were several of us on this call, Jude being one, and certainly Desiree and Alan and Diane and us. We came together to put this group together, knowing also that most of you, I'm going to guess, has had some kind of contact experience, whether it's with extraterrestrials, whether it's with angels, however you describe it, maybe with the natural world, with elements here on our beloved Mother Earth. However it's happened, I'm going to guess each of you has had some sort of experience sometime in your life that suddenly what we are beginning to experience is more, as Alan shared, more and more people now are beginning to have contact experiences, however that gets described. So what we wanted to do is create a space so that two things could happen. One is you could come into this space, and this group is a closed group right now. In time, we may open it up, but right now it is for ELs. To share your experiences in a way that it is kept in confidence. These particular calls will not be recorded. We know that there are a lot of people that have had very personal experiences, and they may not have had any way or anywhere to share these experiences. And we want to create a space so that they can be brought to light. And this is not just about sharing the stories. It is, why is this happening? And the communication level with not just with each other, but with beings from beyond the physical. How is it that we can better that? How can we increase that? How can we learn from each other? Because this is a big, large experience in consciousness that we are going through. It's a large world, the world including many dimensions, many universes. So how is it that we also then begin to nurture and develop those skills, those talents, and that wisdom that is lying within each one of us? So what we've done is also during our meetings, we are asking in each meeting a person who wants to bring out a practice. It could be indigenous, it could be a meditation of some sort, whatever it is, to help give that to those that are participating in the call to begin to develop our own skills, those that may be dormant within us, so that the human can become fully developed, and then it can reach into a higher frequency and begin to communicate with those that are not necessarily walking around in physical bodies. We also know that what will happen in the public forum, that Desiree and Alan and JJ are helping to move forward, that there may be circumstances that occur there where we in the inner focus group can then go into deeper exploration with what may be learned there. There's much more that could be said here, but that in 25,000 words.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Jean. It sounds fascinating. Next, we're going to hear a little bit about the bridging circle. I would like to start by telling you that The Bridging Circle was founded back around the events of January 6th last year. We had such a clear example of how consciousness is manifesting in a very divided way right now. And a number of our ELs have been passionately involved in trying to bridge that kind of divide. One of our members is John Steiner, and he has a vision for a new direction that he'd like to go in. So let's hear from John Steiner.
Thanks, Deborah. And it's wonderful to see all of you who we know. I'm speaking on behalf of my wife and working partner, Margot King, who's with us, and getting to know those of you who we haven't met yet, except as John said, we're living in this virtual reality together. And also a shout out to Mark Gerzon, who played a major role in starting the circle. So we will continue for those who are interested what we're doing. I'm going to put a wonderful statement of what it really is in the chat when I'm done. But particularly, I think we're going to be working and kind of doing information about a lot of the nonprofits in this field who are doing this work successfully. So you'll see that in the chat just as an overview. Margot and I and others actually are spending a lot of our time working around 2022 and 2024 and how we elect, let's just say, bridging members of the Democratic Party, anti-seditionists, Republicans, and problem solver Republicans, both to Congress and to state legislatures. Because Evolutionary Leaders is a not-for-profit group, and this is a largely partisan undertaking, we want to start a group that's outside of ELs formally. And Deborah, you can, as we move forward, let us know, how we do that, particularly for people who aren't on the call today. And then thirdly, with Charles Gibbs and Jean and John and Margot and some others who are on this call, we really piloted a series of beautiful intention, meditation, prayer efforts, one Saturday a month around working with healthy democracy in our country and around the world at the level of consciousness. And we'd love to continue that for those who are interested. Again, Deborah, you're going to let us know how all this information gets out to everybody. And then lastly, I'd love to do a shout out to George Campanelli, who's on the line with us, and who with Jim Garrison and Humanity Rising, with us and others, is conceiving a series of democracy dialogues, which we will be planning to do hopefully as often as a week every month, but if not, as often as we can between now and the election. And that information will also be coming. I think we can include that in the Bridging Circle, George, and we may want to draw on some of you for input there, but we'll certainly let everybody know what's going on. Thanks, Deborah.
Thank you so much, John, for all of these initiatives. And I want you and other point people from these circles to know that I am happy to send out an email to all of the evolutionary leaders with a variety of upcoming meetings and initiatives that you would like to share with one another, so that we can all keep better informed about what one another are doing. So please feel free to send me a little blurb to send out to people, and I'll be happy to share that.
We'll do that. And we just want to add, what a thrilling panorama of inspiring, enthusiastic, upbeat presentations today. And what an education for all of us, kind of learning more about the silos that we aren't in, but we are part of it anyway, through you guys. Thanks.
It's glorious, isn't it?
It is.
Hats off to every one of you. So the next two circles that we're going to hear about are still a little bit in potential, shall we say. So one is the media circle. And we have two representatives from that on the call today. We have Desiree Hertog and we have Kit Thomas, who both have some real vision around what kind of expanded media they would like to see in terms of outreach from the synergy circles, from the individual work of evolutionary leaders, and from our collective visions and dreams. And then we're going to hear from another synergy circle that is in the planning stage, but it's catching fire. And that is called ACE, which is Artists Catalyzing Evolution. And we have both founders, Kristen Hoffman and Keishi Chai, on the call today. So Desiree, would you like to start us off, and then we'll give a few minutes to Kit as well.
Right. So all of us who have participated in the media circle are people who are doing things all the time in media. Of course, there's more people of you guys that could join in. It's a closed circle for evolutionary leaders, but not closed for the situation of who wants to really help with some of this. So it started with Alan Steinfeld, my husband and I, JJ Hertak, Kit Thomas, also Tiana, David is part of it, Bob Atkinson, who really did a lot for our moment of choice, the book that Kurt talks about, Mitchell Raven, who does A Better World, Sister Jenna, who really does meditate, America Meditate, and does a lot with YouTube as well. Kurt, who we don't even have to talk about, all his Light on Light magazines and everything else he's done. So this is something, this is saying our outreach. Now, the YouTube for evolutionary leaders needs to, as Deborah said, needs to be advanced. I'm proposing maybe if we have some really good professional videos from some of these evolutionary leaders, we could actually do playlists on there where we go to your site, and create that playlist. So that's something that could be sent to either Alan or myself or Kit to start creating these playlists, because we have some great video on there, but we need to do more. Social media outreach is what all of us do, and we need to really enhance, we'll say, the vision of the evolutionary leaders to do more. I'm going to turn over to Kit, who's on board, to say more of what, and he does fabulous stuff. He's done many, many environmental and we'll say social positive videos. Kit, go ahead.
Thank you, Desiree. And gosh, what great energy here today. The good news is, if we just took all the ideas that got expressed in the last hour and formulated them into a master plan, we'd have a world that works for everyone. Absolutely. The challenge is we are a very small percentage of humanity's collective thinking holding these ideas. And so how do we amplify the evolutionary ideas represented here and represented in our extended circle? How do we amplify those and get them out into humanity's collective thinking and choosing? Well, the power of media is certainly an important part of that initiative. So as Deborah said when she introduced this circle, we're sort of still a visioning circle. We've been doing some internal visioning. We want to open that up to a lot of the wonderful new ELs that have come in the last year. And we're going to host in April, we'll let you know, an extended visioning circle for the media synergy circle. But the idea is that the media professionals that are now represented in our community will have an opportunity to be in concert with each other, in constellation with each other, comparing notes, comparing resources, comparing ideas. But beyond that, as Desiree was saying, creating an EL YouTube channel that represents not just the work of members of the EL community, but kind of a playlist of transformational media. We want to create a media library that is available through the EL website. We're going to ask each of you once a year to weigh in on different topics and start to build a library of transformational thinking as reflected in this circle of evolutionary leaders. And then one of the ideas on the table is to once a year, all of us collectively decide on a theme and produce collectively through the media circle a media message campaign, themed media message campaign, even if it's just one sort of collective media message a year that is designed to go out and be infectiously embeddable in social media. So those are some of the ideas we're kicking around. As I say, we're envisioning stage. We're going to open that up in April. We'll let you know if any of you who are interested in joining us.
And
Gosh,
another, I just add another founding member I forgot who's on the call is Mitchell Rabin, who has A Better World, and his videos are great. So it's all these playlists that we really need to add. We already have this YouTube Evolutionary Leaders. It's just not being utilized as much as we think it should. So that's one of our projects. So go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you for all of these visions. And I really want to encourage some of you who are on the call who have incredible media resources, Julie Kroll, Portia Castile, and others who really do. This is what you live and breathe, to become part of this media circle and help move this along, because we know this can really make a difference. So we just have a few minutes left, and I would like to hear from Kristen Hoffman about what artists can do coming together in synergy.
Okay, well, it's so beautiful to be here and taking in all of this incredible wealth of juicy ideas today. So I'd love to add to the pot this new synergy circle called ACE, Artists Catalyzing Evolution. I feel like we have now such a rich tapestry of artists, and both sonic artists, movement artists, visual artists, poetic spoken word artists in our EL circle. And now is the time in our evolution where the arts can truly play an important role in amplifying important messages and awareness during this time in humanity. As we know, there's so much wisdom that's being shared, and spoken wisdom is amazing, but the arts play an incredible role in opening the heart center, tapping into our emotions so that all of the work we are doing as a collective can really land on a deeper level. So I just want to, not all of these, there's been some interest so far and a lot of people have written to me, but I just want to say a couple names. Musicians, Reverend Ivy, I think you're on the call, Quadjo Spiri, Gary Malkin, Pato and Antoinette, the Corin brothers. Movement, we've got Keishi Chai, who is the co-founder of this circle with me, and Summer Joy Raymer, visual artist Kara Stonehouse, meditational spoken word and poetry, Paulette Pipe, Sister Jenna, Sarah McCrum. We want to bring in Indigenous voices. And this circle is also going to be for leaders who really see the arts as a powerful, weaving, and important voice in movements. Just as an example, Ben Bowler and the Unity Earth movement has continuously engaged artists to really take his movement and message to a much deeper level. I think this is going to start as an inward, internal EL circle, because we have such a rich group of artists here already with many outward facing possibilities. So I could see a yearly or bi-yearly concert, or even it could be a fundraising possibility, a fundraising concert for the ELs. And also I've kind of planted the seed with Deborah. Possibly the sequel to Our Moment of Choice is actually a multimedia sonic experience. Maybe this just came to me, Our Moment to Voice, something like that.
Oh, wow.
And maybe we're going to have a chance to really hear what are the evolutionary messages and feel and see and be encoded with this from the artistic perspective in the next evolution of Our Moment of Choice. So please let me know if you'd like to join the circle. We're going to plan to meet, I think, once a month. And just let me or Keishi know. Keishi, are you still on the call, and would you like to add anything? Keishi is an amazing movement facilitator who uses movement as a powerful vehicle for connection and awareness. I'm not sure if she's still on the call,
And
but
she's here. And Kristen, please put your email in the chat for those artists.
I will.
Also want you to include poet, Reverend Charles Gibbs.
Yes.
Casey, would you like to add a little something very quickly?
Yeah, just that I'm super excited to be part of this, and Kristen's my dear friend. So anything she's involved with, I'm in hook, line, and sinker, so to speak. And I'm really looking forward to collaborating with the other ELs and seeing what we can do with arts to amplify really critical messages.
Fabulous. That's such an exciting initiative. Thank you. So we only have a couple of minutes left. And in that time, I would like to very quickly mention two other kinds of synergy circles. So one is local synergy circles. We have circles that have been active in Colorado, in the Boulder, Denver area, in New York, around New York City, and in Santa Barbara. And most of these circles have not been able to meet for the last 2 years for obvious reasons. But I would like to ask Denise Scotto to say just a few words about like what's the vision of having in-person meetings.
Thank you so much, Deborah. Great to be with everyone, to see my fellow ELs. Welcome to our new members. It's just so exciting to see such great energy here today. As you heard, we do have a New York Synergy Circle. And the benefit is we've had several meetings because Diane Williams was the person living in New York who was able to convene so many people together. And when we had those meetings, magic happened. So I think, as many of you know, when we get together in a physical way, it's a little different from this virtual. And as a result of the magic that happened, we've had a lot of collaboration between different groups and different people. So, for example, Kurt Johnson and myself got to know one another and were able to really put forward the work of the International Day of Yoga Committee at the UN, those underlying principles of unity and interdependence, and to really start the project of the special edition of the Light on Light e-magazine. We've had Mitchell Rabin, who was on the call earlier today, also participate in UN events around that and writing articles. Some people who are with us today have written for our special edition. This is just one way that we've gotten together and had concrete practical examples. But at the same time, Heather Shea from the United Palace has been involved and has hosted different events with Deepak for his book launch, The MetaHuman, and many, many other things. So there's something about people getting together, as you know, that is so special. And given COVID and everything, with a lot of isolation and distancing, it's really something that we look forward to meeting together in person. We are trying to plan a virtual meeting in the next couple of months. We've tried in the past, but due to some circumstances that I've been involved in, we haven't had the opportunity to meet. So I'm hoping that we can by mid-June so that we can get together again. Again, I think that there's just so much opportunity. There's such a richness here that we all have. And again, there's such an inclusiveness and a real sense of something that brings us all together. And I think that that's our shared value and our shared love of expanding consciousness, expanding peace, and facilitating greater healing. So I'm going to stop there and wish everyone well. Take good care.
Thank you so much, Denise. That is truly the vision of the local synergy circles. And we're also thinking about inviting people this year prior to the advance, which unfortunately, again, can't be in person this year. So we will be planning an online advance, but perhaps some of you could meet locally prior to that to bring some of the fruits of those meetings forward. I would love to see a local synergy circle in the DC area. I know we have a number of people on the call from that area. And if you know that there are other evolutionary leaders who live near where you live, then you might want to think about convening a local circle. I think this could be very important to our future. So I recognize that we're on the 90-minute mark now, but there is one more important circle that I wanted to bring forward today. And that is the Source of Synergy Foundation Evolutionary Leaders Council. So many of you know about this council, and there are a number of people here on this call now who serve on the council. Will you raise your hand if you serve on the council? Yeah, thank you all so much. It is so meaningful. We use a term that Yves Constantine gave us of tending the soul of the evolutionary leaders. That is the focus of the council. And so what the council does is it meets monthly on the third Wednesday of the month at this time. And it gives guidance of how we move forward as a community. Any of the big decisions have to go then to the board of the Source of Synergy Foundation. But there are many things that we have convened on in powerful ways. We have teams as well. So one of the important teams that's coming up soon is the team that will be planning the advance. And so many wonderful, I mean, this is truly an example of synergy, is how people come together in these teams to co-create the advance. The nominations team this year did a spectacular job in so many ways, meeting diligently to bring in all of you wonderful, yummy new evolutionary leaders. We have a financial sustainability team. We have teams working on our purpose. And there are many opportunities to serve. So if you're interested in being on the council, please let me know and I will put you on the list to get the notices. It's not a huge commitment, and if you can't make a meeting, then you can't make that meeting. So it's not a heavy commitment, but we do have wonderful dedicated people on the council, and I'm wondering whether Paulette would like to say a few words about her experience on the council.
Hi, Deborah. Oh, hold on. Hi, everyone. I'm not sure I'm the one who should say anything because I serve as the keeper of the flame on the council. So I'm the one with the least.
You've listened more than anyone else.
I'm the fly on the wall that holds all the yummy stuff that's going on. But I'm not sure what to say really. I've been inspired. I've seen a lot of good work done, and it is like the foundation of the organization. So it's a really great place to serve if you want to know the nuts and bolts of what goes on to make this this amazing organization flourish. And every voice counts, including the keeper of the flame, as you can tell. So every voice counts, and we all have different perspectives. We're all going to see things differently. So the more input that we can have from a wide range, the more supportive it will be to the overall principles and dedication of what we're trying to accomplish. I think that's all I can say. Again, I'm keeper of the flame. I stay silent.
That's fantastic. And we always encourage you to speak when you have something to say, because it's always so helpful. And perhaps Kanu or Yves would like to say something, or Barbara Layton, who is also the chair of the board of the Source of Synergy Foundation. Something brief, because we only have a minute.
I'll just say something really quick, and that is what a pleasure it is to be with such great thought leaders, and the commitment and love of the ELs on the council is palpable. And so I feel always that my contribution is meaningful because everybody is so welcoming, and that's what I really want to say about the council. It's just a microcosm of this great organization.
Very well put. Thank you.
Yeah,
Well,
I just posted quickly just what a brilliant call of ideas this was, and vision and inspiration and possibility, and oh my God, together we will accomplish everything and anything.
Thank you, Barbara. Nina, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to add for the people that have joined in over the years that I was there with them, Deborah and Diane and a couple of others since the very beginning. And this is a brilliant move because there are so many spectacular human beings in this group, and we had no idea how to share. We came together in the same consciousness, but really to make us share who we are and what we bring to the table and how we can coalesce this into form. That's what we've done here. And it's brilliant, you know, because it really allows each person to shine in the way that what they had to offer. So thank you for all this great work, really. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nina.
I'd like to say a quick thing too, Deborah, if I might.
Yes, please, Eve.
Just that ditto what everybody said, and a reminder that it does take just a very, very small percentage of us to make this shift. So numbers don't really matter. It's the energy that we are now synergizing in the true sense of the word, like completely. And kudos to everybody all over the years, and love to all.
Yeah.
Thank you. I think we can all feel the excitement at being on the verge of truly a new time, and that the evolutionary leaders can make significant contributions to the transformation of consciousness that's needed right now here on planet Earth to co-create the kind of world that we all want to live in and we want to leave for future generations. So blessings. I hope every one of you is inspired to come and play on these synergy circles in whatever way calls you. We want your brilliance, so we can do what Barbara Marx Hubbard used to call sharing genius. So thank you to everyone. Thank you to Diane and the Source of Synergy Foundation for providing the foundation for all of this beautiful work. And we hope to see you on our next community call next month. I don't know when it is yet. I'm sorry, those calls will be at different times. If any of you want to join the council, let me know today because there's a meeting tomorrow. All right, bless you all.
Thank you, Deborah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Love to all.
Love to everybody.
Everyone, lots of love.
Beautiful.
Yay, team. Blessings.
Yay, team.
Bless you, everyone.
Thank us.
Thank us.
Bye, everyone.
So good to see you all. Blessings.
Yes.